Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy DuckyTheGamer back again with another video. Now, I'm very excited to be bringing you guys the ultimate Fortnite mobile tips and tricks guide. Over the past 2 years of playing Fortnite mobile, I have learned a lot. Let's just say that. When I first started playing Fortnite mobile, there was no guide, there was no tutorial on how to get good, on how to practice certain mechanics of the game. And so I had to do a lot of learning on my own, teaching myself all the ins and outs of mobile. And for you guys today, I'm going to try to condense all of the most important pieces of information down into one video, so that if you're a brand new player or if you're really experienced in Fortnite mobile, you will still hopefully be able to take away something in today's video so that you'll be able to become better on Fortnite mobile. All I'm asking from you guys is that if you get any sort of tip or trick from this video and it helps you out, I would greatly appreciate it if you drop a like on this video. Dropping a like on this video will actually make it easier for people to find this video in the future, so hopefully anyone looking for tips and tricks on mobile will be able to stumble across this video and hopefully learn something from it. Also, we are quickly approaching 900,000 subscribers, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys join the family, drop a sub on the channel, and help me hit 900k. One more shameless self-promotion: if you guys want to support me in the Fortnite item shop, you guys already know what code. Use code Ducky if you want to be lucky. And with season 3 right around the corner, I know a lot of you guys are going to be picking up the battle pass and also buying a lot of the really cool skins that are coming out. So if you could use my code during that time, I'd greatly appreciate it. So this video, as you can see, it's a long video, and while I do recommend you guys to watch the entire video, I am going to be including timestamps right now on the screen and in the description. If there's a certain section of Fortnite mobile you want to specifically improve upon, then you go ahead, go down to the description, click the timestamp, and then skip ahead to that part. But once again, I highly recommend that you guys watch the entire video. So starting off this video with the first section, it is heads-up display, and this is by far the most important part of all of Fortnite mobile. When it comes to Fortnite mobile, your HUD is the most important part of your gameplay. Your heads-up display will ultimately determine how mechanical and advanced you could be on Fortnite mobile. By default, your heads-up display is set up for a 2-finger orientation. This is fine for beginner players to get comfortable and used to Fortnite mobile, but it is very important that you make adjustments to your heads-up display to allow more fingers to be used at once. The more fingers you use when you're playing Fortnite mobile, ultimately the more mechanical and competitive you'll be able to become. Since most of you guys watching this video already have probably a base understanding of the game and are somewhat familiar to the heads-up display editor, I'm not going to spend a ton of time going through this because I could make an entire 20-minute video dedicated to the heads-up display editor. However, if you're not really familiar with the heads-up display editor, I would highly recommend you guys take your time, just go through, pick apart everything you could find, and definitely experiment with a lot of things over here in the sidebar so that you're comfortable with the editor. Now, what I'm about to tell you guys is the #1 thing I would recommend to any Fortnite player in general, new, intermediate, experienced, whatever skill they happen to be. I always recommend that you play Fortnite mobile with more than 2 fingers. The reason for this is that the more fingers you add to your screen and the more fingers you use at once, the more complex and mechanical you will ultimately able to become. There are so many aspects of Fortnite mobile that a 2-finger player will not be able to accomplish because they only have 2 thumbs, which is the default, like I said, orientation for a heads-up display. Creating a heads-up display that allows for 3 more fingers to be used at once is very daunting if you're new. Even myself, I still get kind of scared with the heads-up display editor. Because of this, on screen right now, I'm going to be giving you guys sort of templates that you can copy for different amount of fingers for heads-up displays and also different devices. I have absolutely nothing against you guys copying heads-up displays. That's why I'm actually giving you these heads-up displays to copy. But I want to give a crucial bit of information that you should definitely change your heads-up displays to something that you're very comfortable with. There's no right or wrong heads-up display, so that at the end of the day, take one of these templates or ask a friend who plays Fortnite mobile, see what they're using, take little notes from it, and then make something that works for you. But at the same time, you don't want to make too many changes to your heads-up display. Just like on PC or controller, you don't want to keep constantly changing your binds, because if you keep changing your heads-up display on mobile, you're never going to really build a solid muscle memory foundation. Changing and modifying your heads-up display is by far the most frustrating part about Fortnite mobile. But at the same time, if you don't take that initial leap and if you don't change from 2 to 3 or to 4 fingers, then there's really no way to advance your gameplay on Fortnite mobile. Now, when it comes to the amount of fingers you should be making a heads-up display for, it really just depends how comfortable you are. I've seen people on phones use up to 6 fingers at one time, and I've seen people on tablets use up to 8 fingers at one time. So if I were you guys starting out, if you're just going from 2 fingers and you're looking to upgrade, I would recommend for phone players, try a 3 or 4 finger heads-up display for phone. And for tablet players, I'd recommend just jump all the way to 4 fingers, and then once you get comfortable with 4, jumping up to 6 fingers is actually a really big difference. And one last tip for really experienced Fortnite mobile players, I would recommend you guys really spend some time and really getting creative with the tool visibility. As you guys can see on the right hand side, combat, build, edit, and creative. They're all different buttons you can choose. As you guys can see, I have my targeted edit button right here, which is for crosshair editing. Now this only shows up in edit mode, and as you can see, I also have my pyramid right here, but this only shows up in build mode. So basically I have two buttons overlapping each other. However, they're staggered to the point where they're not going to be showing up at the same time, and it allows my pointer finger to do less work but be more complex. So now that we've gone through arguably the most important part of the entire just game of Fortnite Mobile, we're gonna head to settings now. So the settings of Fortnite Mobile, they're actually kind of limited. However, this doesn't mean that you can't optimize your FPS and customize your game to your liking. The most important part of the entire settings page is definitely the first one, the video section, in which you can control your FPS and other aspects relating to your graphics. Now when it comes to graphics on Fortnite Mobile, this is just a rule of thumb. Every single person should be using low graphics. By switching to medium or high graphics, the only thing you add is actually better graphics and textures. However, going from low to medium or high will not make your game crisper. That is where the 3D resolution slider comes into place. And the next biggest tip for increasing your FPS on Fortnite Mobile is changing your 3D resolution. Now luckily, I'm able to get a consistent 120 FPS by using a 100% 3D resolution. However, for a lot of you guys out there on lower end devices, you're probably going to need your lower 3D resolution somewhere along the lines of 75% to maybe even 50%. The way to find your perfect 3D resolution is to turn on show FPS down here, hop into just a regular game of Fortnite, and then mess around with the 3D resolution. Once you see your FPS number in the top right hand corner stable, that means you found your perfect 3D resolution. Changing your 3D resolution will not be able to get you more FPS than you already have. As you can see, I can only get 120 FPS, so changing my 3D resolution is not going to give me more FPS. It's just going to make sure that my FPS is as stable as it can be, which is obviously perfect for performance. Other than that, there's not really too many key settings in Fortnite Mobile. You can feel free to browse the game section and figure out and customize sort of certain aspects of the game, but on that, it's just pretty general stuff. Now we're heading on to the building section. At the end of the day, becoming good at building comes down to two main things: lots and lots of practice, and also a good HUD. I need to emphasize the fact that you will not be able to become a good builder in Fortnite Mobile if you do not use a good heads-up display. That's why at the beginning of the video I stressed that you need to be comfortable with your heads-up display, and you also need to be using 3 or more fingers. That way you'll be able to jump, place builds, and look around all at the same time. Once you have a 3+ finger heads-up display set up, the best thing for you to do is just to go into a private creative match and start cranking. Practicing building a creative is by far the best way to just practice muscle memory with your new heads-up display, or to learn new techniques without worrying about getting obviously bombarded by random people in like solos. I personally still spend around 10 to 15 minutes every single day warming up in creative, getting my builds ready, getting my fingers loose, while at the same time practicing new and advanced techniques for building. However, when it comes to Fortnite, you're going to need to put these builds to actual use in a game. You can sit there and crank endless 90s in creative, but if you're not able to replicate the same building in a public match, it literally just doesn't matter at all. The best way I've been able to take building muscle memory and actually convert that muscle memory into the point where you could use it in real games is by playing solo squads. It's kind of crazy and it's very hectic, and you're really not going to be winning games, but in solo squads you're going up 1v4 against people who are probably pretty good, and so this way you have to think on your feet, you have to react fast, and you cannot mess up with your builds, otherwise you're going to die. So solo squads, it's just the craziest way to take the builds that you've been practicing in creative and then put them to use in a real world experience. For you really experienced players out there, I would highly recommend Zone Wars as a great way to practice rather advanced techniques in Fortnite. Most of you guys are probably familiar with Zone Wars, but why it's so good is Zone Wars puts you in an environment in which if your character is exposed at any moment in time, you're going to be penalized by being shot at. Zone Wars makes you get in the habit of making sure that your tunnels are on point, you're always protected, and that it really just penalizes you messing up your build. So it's really good for making sure that one, your mechanics are fast and they're good, but also two, that you can consistently hit your builds over and over and over. And also guys, it is very important to realize that you're always going to be able to improve at building in Fortnite. I've been playing this game for, like I said, literally 2+ years, and there's still new moves, new techniques I'm learning every single week on Fortnite. If I'm not learning a new technique, I'm practicing my consistency, I'm practicing my speed, and so there's always some sort of way you can progress at building in Fortnite, so never feel like you've plateaued. It's important to put in perspective the platform that you play on, but I'm not trying to demotivate you guys and saying you can't be insane cracked out. I'm just saying it's going to take a lot of work to get to the place where other PC or console players are at, just because of the nature of our devices. So this next section, I'm going to talk about aim in Fortnite Mobile. Now, this section is going to be a little weird. It's not going to be me like enforcing you guys and telling you guys what you need to do, because at the end of the day, sensitivities and your aim is really subjective. I know a lot of players who play nearly max sensitivities. I know a lot of players who play super low sensitivities. So really, at the end of the day, sensitivities and your aim is just up to personal preference and how you like to play the game. However, if you want to see my current sensitivities and what I've really been rocking pretty much more or less for the last year, is on screen right now. I can, however, give you guys at least a few tips around some of the sensitivities and hopefully explain the meaning behind some of these settings. So the touch targeting sensitivity right here is extremely important. I'm not gonna boast, like, listen, I'm not trying to say this right now to just brag, but I have one of the best AR aims in all of Fortnite Mobile. My long range aim and tracking is really good because 1, I use a low sensitivity, and then 2, I use a low touch targeting sensitivity, which is basically the multiplier when you zoom in. So once I'm scoped in with my AR, my sensitivity gets cut over in half, so I pretty much have a super slow sensitivity when aiming in, and that's because of touch targeting sensitivity. So if you guys want a really good long AR aim or medium range aim, I would highly recommend you guys lower your touch targeting sensitivity or just mess around with it to see what you're comfortable with. Also, another unique mobile only feature is look acceleration strength. Now, look acceleration strength is very hard to describe over video. I would strongly recommend you guys go into a creative game yourself and test this out. But basically, if you max out your look acceleration strength and you drag your fingers slowly across the screen, your screen is going to react very slowly because it's not going to be accelerating fast at all. However, if you just yeet your finger across the screen, drag it super fast, your screen is going to fly way farther than it normally would because you're moving your finger really fast. On the contrary, if you use a 1% look acceleration strength, no matter how fast or slow you move your screen, the acceleration of your sensitivity will always be the same. 100% look acceleration strength is pretty much the exponential setting on controller, whereas the 1% look acceleration strength is pretty much linear on controller. Once again, I'd highly recommend you guys go test it out yourself. But if you guys want good long and medium range aim, the best thing for you guys to do is use 100% look acceleration strength. If you want to go all the way down to 1%, you're going to be getting really good close range SMG shotgun fighting skills, but it's going to come at a cost of your mid and long range. So currently I'm testing out around like 50% look acceleration strength, but for the past year or so I've been using 100% just fine. There are also other third-party aim training apps you can use to train your aim on Fortnite Mobile. This is called iAim. It's a mobile game in which you can copy over your Fortnite Mobile sensitivities and settings and everything like that. And then basically you can go in and you can just practice your aim. The only benefit I see of this is that it's a fun and easy way to train your aim and you don't need Wi-Fi. So it's a very convenient way to train your aim on the go. At the end of the day though, the best way for you to train your aim is just to hop into Fortnite and play solos, duo squad. Just play the game, because creative or aim training apps, they're not going to give you the exact aim assist it has in game, and they're not going to be realistic settings. So at the end of the day, use sensitivities you're comfortable with and then make adjustments if you feel like you need to. Now, the second to last section is editing, and editing is a rather advanced extension of building. I don't consider it its own mechanic. I pretty much consider editing and building one and the same. And honestly, if I were you guys, if you're new to Fortnite Mobile, or even if you're intermediate, I wouldn't even really worry too much about editing. I actually went the first like 8 months of Fortnite Mobile without editing. I literally broke down my builds because it was faster for me to pickaxe my way through my builds. I've already made a ton of videos on editing, and actually a really recent updated one about the new crosshair editing mechanic. I'll leave a link down below in the description because it's like a 10-minute video. It goes into a ton of detail about how the mechanics work and how you can set up your heads-up display so that you can use this mechanic. As for practicing editing courses, the best thing for you to do is either just go in creative free build, just literally sit there and crank tunnels, practice just free editing and stuff like that, or go and do edit courses that are designed just for you to practice editing. I'll leave a few codes down below in the description as well of editing courses that I personally have used and found great practice out of. So if I were you guys, if you really want to learn about editing, go check out that video link down below in the description. And so now we are on to the last section of the video, game knowledge. Now this is my last topic because when it comes to this video, I wanted to prioritize a lot of the mobile specific features, and game knowledge is really something you could acquire anywhere. You can watch professional players play the game, you can watch tips and tricks videos just like the video you're watching now to acquire just more general information on the game. Game knowledge really isn't important to Fortnite Mobile if you're not trying to be a competitive player, but competitive Fortnite Mobile, it's in a league of its own. We are having to go up against PC and console players nowadays to compete for cash on Fortnite. So if you're a mobile player looking to try to compete, then I would highly recommend you guys look up some analysts or some really high quality tips and tricks PC videos, because if you're on mobile and you're copying the mannerisms and techniques of PC players, then you're just going to be up there on par with the PC and console players. If you copy mobile mechanics, you're going to be always at a disadvantage, because PC, they always have the best mechanics, they're always going to be the fastest. So I'm going to leave a few people linked down below in the description. These people range from VOD review analysts, basically breaking down professional players' gameplays, all the way down to PC tips and tricks videos that I personally use when I play Arena and I play competitive, and it has really helped me a lot in terms of my competitive gameplay. So once again, you don't really need game knowledge if you're just playing pubs and having fun, but I do have a really awesome website I do think you guys should check out. It's called lootlake.info. This is not sponsored by any means. Lootlake.info, however, is pretty much the go-to source for anything related to the Fortnite map. As you guys can see, this thing literally shows anything and everything that spawns on the Fortnite map. Henchmen, chests, gun spawns, like literally anything, you name it, it's there. This map is really good if you guys are looking to get into competitive and you want that competitive edge, you know, to know where every single chest is in your drop spot and to know perfect rotations and to make loot pass. This website is absolutely crazy. I've used it a lot before in terms of planning my competitive strategies. So if I were you guys and you're looking into this, learn more about the Fortnite map, especially after new updates or changes, then lootlake.info is definitely the place to be. Whew, so boys, I'm gonna take a deep breath because that was a long video. That was a lot of information, and I really hope you guys did learn something from today's video. I could have made this an hour-long documentary on every single little aspect about Fortnite Mobile, but I really tried to focus on the things that are mobile specific and that I've personally learned over the past 2 years of gameplay. If you didn't learn anything, I truly do apologize, but that must mean you're a god-tier Fortnite mobile player with like 30k earnings, and you probably should be watching this video anyways. Once again, if you've made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate if you guys sticking around the entire thing. And once again, if this video helped you, I would greatly appreciate if you guys drop a like on this video. I do think anyone playing Fortnite mobile today definitely deserves to see this video and learn something out about the game. But on that, guys, it's your boy DuckyTheGamer. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.